Siparnaji, thank you very much for some nice words about me. I see Mr. Dubey here. I think that we had the pleasure of working for many years together. Arunji is here and he was still recalling our association, Dr. Bhandarkar's association, my association, while we took Maruti group actually to Europe. And of course, Dubeji also came for the European program. And that was the occasion where Dr. Bhandarkar identified that Arunji is the material of chief executive. And today he is the chief executive, I think that. I see many very distinguished persons sitting here. I see CNN is sitting here, Dr. Sethi is sitting here, Dr. Bhandarkar is here, and I think the person with whom I wrote the piece in Times of India, Subir Burma, is sitting here. Of course, for Harbans, you know that popularly I call him leader of the leaders, and I have been calling him for the last 20 years. It's not only today. I also see very distinguished person, Dr. Vijay Agarwal, who is the director in Manav Rachana University. I had the pleasure of working with him in MDI. And very young budding leaders and many distinguished persons who are also in the business of grooming leaders, mentoring leaders, and building leaders. I would like to make some very provocative statement. Manoj made a very powerful statement that change is a way of life. To survive, grow, flower, flourish, change is extremely important. And I'm reminded of something very interesting when I'm talking about academia and the management world together. I was about 15 years back, I was giving some kind of concluding remarks or valedictory address in Singapore. It was a very big gathering, a great conference, and I was talking about managing change, managing transformation. And I made a point that change is a way of life. And change is a permanent truth of the nature. There was a young girl, and I think that she began her career in Singapore in the corporate world. She asked a question, Mr. Change Master, she called me a change master, can you tell me something which doesn't change? And I just put my hand on my head and I said, young girl, resistance to change doesn't change. This is the reality of life. We all professors talk about the change and change. How much they change, I ask a question. Same thing about the corporate leaders. They all talk about change and change. How much have changed? Dr. Bhandarkar and myself, we wrote a piece, very recently, not a piece, a book, that Odyssey to Leadership, From Darkness to Light. And you'll be surprised to know about 80% leaders in the corporate world, they were the toxic leaders. We have put only 11 case studies of the toxic leaders, but I would like to say that 80% people in the corporate world, they are the toxic leaders. Not only the corporate world, when you think about academia also, at least about 70 to 75% leaders are toxic. Of course, they have developed only one thing, how to destroy something which happened in the past, and that was good, that. This is the reality. So when Manoj was talking something about the change and change, let me re-emphasize, embrace change. But it's going to be very painful. It's going to be a really, really painful process. Having made that statement, of course, Manoj provoked me to say something. That's why I said, let me begin by that. Let me try to quote about 3-4 quotable quotes The first quotable quote from Mahabharata has been Bir Bhogya Vasundhara. Bir Bhogya Vasundhara. Brave Purus, great warriors, they will enjoy the earth, the comforts of the earth. Bir Bhogya Vasundhara. But I was reading something about Chanakya. Chanakya wrote something very interesting. Not only Bir Bhogya Vasundhara, Gyan Bhogya Vasundhara. It's a Jnani Purus, he would be having power of eminence to capture the world. And I was reminded of India without any nuclear power, without any power of weaponry. We rule the world. Buddhism, Hinduism. Go to Thailand, go to Indonesia, go anywhere. I find that, so I would like to combine those who are highly enlightened people, intellectually bright, fervor of innovation, having the fervor of innovation, they will rule the world. China today has emerged as a great country. And Kamal is sitting here. We have been going to China for the last 7 years. And Mrs. Sai is also here. She came to Chinese program. I think that the kind of university setup they have got, the way they have got the university set up, the way they are building the universities and the institutions of knowledge, it's amazing speed. See Fudan University. Can you believe that Fudan University would be somewhere among 30s? How many universities and how many academic institutions are even among 100 in India? Very few. So what actually Harbansji was talking, something interesting, that we need something to be drastically done. Vivekananda made a very powerful statement. And that's where I think that our thought leaders and the action leaders both must apply their minds. He made the statement, thought without action doesn't have any value. Thought without action doesn't have value, added value. Our knowledge without action doesn't have any value. He went further for the corporate world people. However, action without thought is a futile exercise. How to integrate thought with action and action with thought is extremely important in this country. And only yesterday, I think that I was talking with someone. I think that the committee is appointed by Ministry of Defense. I think that procurement and acquisition of the weapons, and I'm the chairman of the committee. So I was asking only one question, that where the world is going in terms of knowledge creation. And I came to one kind of conclusion. Universities in India, they're the relics of the past. My experience on the board of BHU, Pondicherry, Chandigarh University, Punjab University, Chandigarh, and also University of Rajasthan, Jaipur. They are the relics of the past. They talk about the change, and I have been asking a question, how much they are prepared to change? This is one question. And I remember it very well when I began my career, and we began an MBA program in Banaras Hindu University. It's a very perennial problem. So I think that when you are a young person, you are loaded by so many things. So I was asked to prepare the syllabus for MBA. So I was preparing the syllabus. And in Banaras, you know that professors are known as Guruji. So my Guruji came to my room and he said, Pritam, तुमको 1 महीने से मैं देख रहा हूँ, तुम कॉफ़ी के लिए नहीं आ रहे हो, चाय पीने के लिए नहीं आ रहे हो. तो मैं गुरुजी हम तो एक सिलेबस बना रहे हैं, क्या है? He said something very interesting. बेटा तू कुछ भी सिलेबस बना ले, हम तो वहीं पढ़ाएंगे जो हमको आता है. He was very honest. He was very honest to know that. We are doing some kind of work in Manu Rachana University, you know that. They are starting the HR program, and Arundhati is here. Ananta, I'm sorry, Ananta is here. She's looking after that. And I think that my great friend, I think that Dwarikanath ji is the chairman of the committee. And so our idea is that we will never build any syllabus, we will never build any program without the collaboration with the industry. So they are working that, and then I said it must be critically examined by the industry people. 4 or 5 persons would be in the panel, and they must veto that. Yes, it's a good program. Same thing we did actually MDI, if you remember that, when we began HR program and all that. So any program which you float, any program which you do, without the cooperation of the industry, it doesn't have much meaning, because they are the buyers. So don't follow the logic. Once upon a time I said in sale, what we produce, they have to buy. Sale culture was whatever we produce, they have to buy. So don't think that whatever you groom, whatever you manufacture, whatever you produce, the corporate world is going to buy. No. So that's why what to do about that? What to do about that? 2 or 3 things I would like to say. The one thing which I would like to say, and I will first of all I will talk about academia, then I will come to something about the industry people. Luckily, not many persons are here from the industry, but I see 2 or 3 very distinguished people. They are sitting here that from the corporate world. Industry people must integrate the corporate world. How they can integrate? How they can really integrate? The one way of integrating would be writing cases. And I think that when Dr. Bhandarkar and myself, we wrote so far about 21 cases on the transformational leaders, right from 1987. And I think that whatever we know, whatever we teach to the leaders and also to the board, that was a great experience. When you write cases, you understand much more. I'm not saying that research articles are not important. But the real life experience you can get when you start writing cases. If not writing cases, at least visit. Go and talk to people. Interact with them. You can understand their mind. What to do about that one? What to do about that one? Because how to motivate, how to persuade the academia to do about that. It's not very easy job. Because whenever you talk with the industry people, you must understand their problems. You must understand their lingua. You must understand everything about that. For example, that we were doing some kind of work for the NTPC and some other companies, and I found that the project management they are behind by is 9 months. And they are losing on the project management more than 1,000 crores every year. I can also take the example of Coal India. Once upon a time, they were boasting that we have got 60,000 crores surplus. What a great company we are. So I said, it's most useless company. He said, why most useless company? 60,000 crores you put in the bank after income tax and everything. I think great finance man is sitting here, would be coming around 6-7%. You are a very bad businessman. You don't know how to do the business. Anything which you earn less than 15%, it's not a good business proposition. And moreover, I must say to you, you guys are not very futuristic. Where the future will go, what expansion, what diversification can be done, how to grow, and you are saying that you are a great company? Maybe that I was rubbing my shoulder with the corporate sector people, so that's how I know about it. not rubbing my shoulder with the finance people. For example, whatever I learned from finance sitting in his class, that though I was director, but I used to go and sit in his class. It was great learning to me, that. So I would like to say one thing, that you may belong to HR area, you may belong to finance area, you may belong to marketing area, but holistic understanding of business is important. Don't operate in the silos. Because whenever you talk with the line people, they will ask one question, whether you understand the business or not. And understand the business not from the point of finance or HR, understanding the point of business in a holistic sense. That's very important. So this is one point that we faculty member will have to reorient totally. Otherwise, what will happen? My famous expression is blind leading the blind. Those who haven't managed anything in their life, they start teaching management. This is a great dichotomy, I see that. So what to do about that? This is a limitation which we have got, how to overcome and how to change that one. This is one point which I would like to say. The second point which I would like to say that, and that's extremely important point. Let me come back quickly to the corporate world. I have learned this debate for the last 25 years. IMA used to organize. Kamal Singh also organized last year. That how to bring industry and academia together. I hope Arunji will not mind. We were lucky. We got tremendous chance to work in Maruti. And Dr. Bhandarkar and myself, we did tremendous experimentation. And I think that experimentation, people always quote, that has been the largest, biggest and most powerful experimentation in Maruti. We got the chance to work. Can industry people should also say that we are equally keen because we are paying the price by having only 9% people employable? Who pays the price? We will go on manufacturing, but who pays the price? Who would not be having good product? Who would be suffering? Industry people would be suffering. They suffer. They don't get. They are in fact, if you ask my opinion, the greatest stakeholders in the academia corporate world is the industry people. If they don't understand this point, I don't think that anything can be done. For example, that we experimented something in MDI, I would like to say that partly we succeeded, but we failed. I said only one thing, that my HR students, they would be going for about 1 day in a week. They would be spending whole day in the company. If you want to pay something, pay. Because you have got many things which you outsourced, and this one and that one, many reports you need to be prepared. Our students can do it. So you got a very bright mind, not paying too much. Industry people would be getting tremendous advantage, and students would be also learning what the industry is. It worked. Persons like Dwarikanath supported us. I think that even Maruti supported us. We got tremendous, New Holland Tractor supported us. We got tremendous amount of support. Baba sitting here, I think they all supported us. That did work for some time. But I think that just stopped. Why that just stopped, I really don't know. So the point which I'm trying to say, the role of the director and the role of the dean is what? To establish collaboration, doing networking, making the life of the corporate sector people miserable. Because we can survive when they want that they should survive. The day they decide that they should not survive, we will not survive. And this is a reality of life, this is a reality of life. Because you find that with the coming of globalization and those kind of things which he has been talking about, many global schools may come to India. Please understand this point. They may come to India. If INSEAD comes to India, because they are already in Singapore, some other global school, Kelly is already talking about collaboration. Booth is also thinking about some kind of collaboration. Dr. Bhatnagar was in Darden, they were very keen to have some kind of collaboration. Suppose they come here, what will happen about many schools? We have to think about it. Many schools also think about mushrooming growth and growth and growth. I always say that grow, but have consolidation. Multiple campuses, all kinds of things. Find that what to do about that. What to do about that. And that's why the basic core of any academic institution, I don't see anywhere, to be honest with you. Creation of knowledge is one core. Go to IIMs, what kind of creation of knowledge you see? Go to private institutions. In fact, the one thing that is extremely crucified, we never value research work and publications. That's why Agarwal Sahab was saying that, and I think that in that way, IIM Lucknow and EMDI was a great example where we say that your coursework load would be of 6. And in 6 coursework load, you must write, you must research, you must publish, you must teach, you must have administrative experience. Where are they? Talk about IITs, IIMs, all the great institutions. And I would also like to say those persons who are in the private schools, I would also say that please talk about that. What is a publication? What is a research? If you want to be in the teaching profession, it's a Brahminical profession. You can't be a good Brahmin without writing Vedas. All the teachers must understand, are you writing Vedas or not? If you are not writing Vedas, you are not a good Brahmin. Because when you write, then you read. When you read and when you write, you read at least about 40 articles. You read so many books, that. You find that where is the gap, and then you can be a very different kind of person in the class. So number one, academic institutions, the core 3 are the core purposes. Creation of knowledge. The second one is dissemination of knowledge. Disseminate. Have MDPs. Have training programs. And have the budgets. Something you must disseminate. Because when you disseminate, you are rubbing your shoulders with the corporate world. Then you know. In fact, much more learning which I got from for my books and everything, and that was rubbing my shoulders with the corporate leaders. That I learned quite a lot about one thing. For example, corporate sector people, they tell me, bright students, intellectually very sharp, communication-wise they are extremely good. However, how to manage politics in the company? Do they understand the politics in the company? Do they understand how to manage the boss? Coming from highly sheltered place, you can defy against parents. You can't defy with your boss. The moment you defy, you are in trouble. This is a reality. These things we teach or we don't teach. And that's why Subir Verma, I always say that, Subirji, if you are talking about the culture of the company, talk about how complex socio-political system that is in the company. Divided in terms of cost, divided in terms of community, divided in terms of everything. How to manage that complex? We never teach that. We never teach that. What to do about that? Ask corporate sector people to come and talk about that. So you find that you go and start defying the boss, authority, anti-authority. And young people are there highly anti-authority. You can be anti-authority in the family, but you can't be anti-authority in the organization. What to do about that? And that's why Dr. Bhatnagar coined a phraseology, reverse mentoring. Corporate sector people must be prepared to be also mentored by the younger fellows. Not only mentoring by the bosses to the subordinates, bosses must be also prepared to be mentored by the young people. That is extremely important. And the last point which I would like to say, because we would like to listen to Arunji much more, because we must also have question answer. I hope that I am within my time limit, because you find it's extremely important. Major problem which I see about the younger people, what kind of life they would be having. Whether they would be capable of communicating their wives and husbands, I'm not very sure about it. Because communication media is what? A stupid mobile in the hand. And wife sending a message to husband, I hope you love me. Came back the message from the husband, you are like SIM in my mobile. Pat reply came from the wife, I hope you have got single SIM, not the double SIM. Can you see it or not? So even we bring technology in personal relationship. You people may not be realizing it's a very big challenge. The power of technology is important. The power of mind is important. But you are a human being, you can't be robots. You can't be robots. I am not very sure whether the power of soul and the power of heart is also heightened. I'm not very sure about it. I'm very frank and very forthright. Your life is becoming too mechanical. Many times I say, unless you become non-mechanical, don't marry. Because don't ruin your life, and also don't ruin the life of others. Can you teach the meaning of life to the students? I always suggest to go and see Chak De. I always suggest to go and see Dangal. Any younger generation, any young people, they meet me. Go and see Bhag Milkha Singh Bhag. Go and see Lathan. Go and see My Fair Lady. In fact, I was talking with someone, very highly grown-up person, and I think that he's very, very choosy about the girl, whom to marry and whom not to marry. So I said, भैया ऐसा करो, तुम My Fair Lady को देख लो. Professor Higgins ने, the person who used to sell flowers, how she was developed as a very evolved lady. The role of the girls is also to make the husbands highly evolved. And so is the role of the husband to make the girls highly evolved. There must be, I think, collaborative venture in the family also to evolve, empower, help, enable for each other. That's extremely important. So Dr. Bhandarkar, and I think that we have developed in the OB courses, there would be some movies, compulsory movies. There will be outbound training program, and that's one area where Subrat, I would be considering as the number one man in the country in the outbound program. So outbound program, I think that movie theaters, that is extremely important. And I think that Dr. Bhandarkar was saying that we developed a 7 minutes of skit. I think whether we did with you people or not, 7 minutes of a skit, where we would be giving some kind of theme and they will have to act. And this acting is what? Some kind of, you are not allowed to communicate. Either writing or orally. You do some kind of acting. And I think that she told me that we have done the camera, we have done the video recording. Only yesterday she was talking to me, we have done the video recording. And I think that if you see, you'd be surprised to know what great talents they have got, how they could build the great teamwork, how they could learn to understand and communicate and work with each other. And they said, perhaps all the lectures would be equivalent to only this one, because we learned much more about life than I think that only sitting in the class. So I think that these are some of the things. I'm very sure subsequently we will talk about it. For example, moving from from Gurukula to college, there is one theme, and I think that's one of the great theme. What can be done about that? And that's where we talk about both the world, what the corporate world can do, and what the industry, what the academia can do. The second thing, we have also got a very powerful session about experiential learning. And that's why Confucius made a very powerful statement. When I read, I forget. When I see, I remember. But when I do, I understand. That's why someone told me this morning that, sir, I have decided not to make a PowerPoint presentation. I said, I am so happy because power corrupts and PowerPoint corrupts absolutely. Okay. So I would like to say I was very happy that she has decided not to make PowerPoint presentation. I think that these are some of the challenges. But still, I would like to hold what Manoj said, change is a way of life. Those who change, they survive. Those who don't change, they survive not with excellence. I would like to say a couple of examples. I always tell people that when you join somewhere as director, because I see two directors material sitting here, that never talk about your old institution. Because many people, they are hooked. When I was in Ahmedabad, when I was in Bangalore, when I was in Lucknow, how things used to be managed. Your present institution, two institutions can never be the replica of, and people feel very insulted. Why? That's why when Subrat came to me that what should be the title of this conference? So I said title could be two titles, towards the next orbit and next horizon, which Harvansh said, towards the next orbit. We have taken the analogy from the rocket science. When the rocket moves from one horizon to another horizon, what is the rocket science? They try to develop escape velocity. How to develop escape velocity? Because you find that gravitational force, unless you develop escape velocity, you can't move to the next orbit. And also the fuel engines which have been used so far, they may not help you. Many things in our life, we go on using fuel engines. Used fuel. And I remember very well, I have been teaching in the class, change and change and change and change. I always give one example. My son, who was only 11th standard, he wanted to buy a motorcycle and he wanted to buy Java. So conversation, I got very bugged, and said, do you know, when I became the lecturer, then I bought a scooter. And you are only in 11th standard and you want to buy a motorbike? He told me, Papa, you have been the son of a farmer, but I have been the son of ASCII professor. That was my fuel, used fuel, are getting my point, and that came to my mind. How you can buy a motorcycle at the 11th standard? What to do about that one? It's a very big challenge, friends. But what Manojji has said, what Harvansh has said, talking about either we go with the wind or we are going to be swept by the wind. I think that's where change is must. I must also congratulate Subrat and Harvansh, though he has been talking about the mentors and those kind of things, but he has been the real mentor. I think that for organizing this very, very critical get-together, say, or critical retreat, let me try to put that way, where the academia and the corporate world people would be interacting, understanding each other, and those kind of things, that. So it's also a kind of, before the romance begins, it's also kind of dating between the corporate world and the academia. And I'm very sure it will develop tremendous powerful romance which can be useful for both the sectors. Thank you very much, Harvansh ji, that you thought about me.